Yeah, it was okay. It's recording again now.
Mm.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Sorry, Yvonne.
Yeah, no worries. So what is a social enterprise? It's no exact definition, I can say, after being in this area, studying this area for about 15 years. But in this project, MERSE project, we have followed the European Commission's definition of a social enterprise. And that is that it's entities that operates by providing goods and services to the market in an entrepreneurial and innovative way, with the primarily objective of creating positive social or environmental impact rather than maximizing the profit for their owners. And we can find social enterprises in a lot of different industries. We can find social enterprises in working with work integration. That means training and integration of people with disabilities and unemployed employment. But we can also find them in personal social services, health, and also child services, etc. And in local development of disadvantaged areas, which we can say that is the focus of the MERSE project. Rural areas are often disadvantaged areas. But we can also find them working in a lot of other industries like recycling industry, science, art, culture, sport, and also protection in different ways. Yeah. Who are we? We are about 20 organizations from 5 countries. We are from Finland, we are from Sweden, Norway, Iceland, and Ireland. And among the partners, we are represented by, we have representatives from municipalities and regions. We have also business support organizations working with us in the project, interest groups, including NGOs, and we also have higher educations and also social enterprises. And you can see the logos from several of them here. Yeah, what are we doing? We are working within 3 work packages. And the first work package, the first year, we were working to create more knowledge or to enhance the knowledge about social entrepreneurship and social enterprises, the conditions for social enterprises in the 5 NPA rural areas that are involved in this project. And to learn what is the problems, but also what is the advantages of social enterprises in the countries and the regions. And after that, we have, or parallel to that, we also work with the support structure to enhance the support structure. So we work with the policy making, we work with the tools, different tools for social enterprises and for support organizations, and also for municipalities in different ways. And to finish now, we work with the dissemination of the results from the project, we can say. And the webinars are one of the ways that we disseminate the results. But we also develop an online support platform where you can find all the results later on. It's under construction still. But it's going. We intend to support social enterprises, support social organizations, and also policymakers by taking part of our results. And why are we doing this? Yeah, we are going to talk about this today, and Cecilia is going to present in a little bit why it is difficult for social enterprises to balancing the core, what could you say, Cecilia? Core key.
Social mission.
Yeah, the social mission, the social value creation with the long-term financial sustainability. So that makes it difficult for them to find a sustainable way of working. We're going to talk about a new business model, why it's needed, adapted business models for social enterprises. And also, we are developing more comprehensive knowledge about social enterprises and the conditions, as I said before, and the role in the entrepreneurial ecosystems in regions and locally. And also the corporate support for social enterprises in rural areas is limited in many countries. And this altogether, this lack of understanding and awareness of the needs for innovative business models, for the conditions for social enterprises, inhibits sustainable regional and local development in the end, especially in rural areas. So I will leave you now to Cecilia, and you will talk a little bit more about what is the business model.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see it, I hope. I'm Cecilia
Yes, I
Dahlborg.
can.
Yeah,
Thank
perfect.
you, Ivan.
And I work in Sweden at Mid-Sweden University. A first question then is, what is a business model? It's not so easy to answer this and have the right answer on these questions, since it depends on who we ask. In research, as well as in practice, there are many different definitions of the concepts. For example, stories that explain how enterprises work, how do we make money in the business, or a representation of a firm's underlying core logic and strategic choice for creating and capturing value within a value network. Or another one is the rationale of how an organization creates, delivers, and captures values. At a general level, we could say that a business model is a description of an organization and how that organization functions in achieving its goals. There are overall a consensus in that business model include different components or building blocks, and that the business model illustrate the relationships between different components or building blocks in order to produce a proposition that can generate values for consumers and thus for the organizations. However, at the same time, it's disagreement about which or how many components a business model should involve. An early model 20 years ago, suggested by Schaffer et al., suggests the following components. We here have strategic choice, value network, capture value, as well as create value. It's important to remember that it's not the most important thing, it's not the component, but the work behind these components. It's a lot of, and that is highlighted in this model, that it is about strategic choices that you need to do. Most business model works with three overarching concepts. It's about value creation, value delivery, and value capturing. A well-known model that you might have seen before is the business model canvas by Osterwalder and Pigneur. It consists of 9 building blocks and is available in a variety of variants, including social business model canvas. Osterwald and Pigneur, they defined a business model like this. the rationale of how an organization creates, deliver, and capture value. And that definition came before this model. If you look at the model, we have the value proposition in the middle, and we also have how the organization are going to have revenues. It's about customer relationship, customer segments, and channels. And at the left side, we have how value are going to be delivered. We have key partners, key activities, and key resources. And that side represent the cost structure of the company. Even if business models and the work behind them, the business modeling, that is the most important thing with it, have helped scholars and managers to articulate and explore interesting questions in diverse fields. The area has also been criticized, generally because it seems to refer to loose conceptions of how a company does businesses and generate revenues, serving as an invitation for forward thinking and self-delusion. And specifically regarding social enterprises, business models, the business model concepts have been criticized since it seems to be too market-orientated, not so suitable for social enterprises. And there's a need for a more holistic view of value, and furthermore, it lacks adaptation to rural conditions. The MERSE Project has, as Yvonne said earlier, a special focus on social enterprises in rural areas. This, since rural areas are frequently characterized by persistent and interrelated socio-economic challenges, including depopulation, aging demographics, geographical remoteness, that all will result in reduced economic diversification, weaker labor markets and fewer employment, decreased tax bases, and also limited access to public and commercial services. Social enterprises are often seen as a solution on these challenges. In the MERSE project, we describe social enterprises with the following thing. Yvonne has already given a definition, but we see social enterprises as social mission-driven organization that address local needs while creating economic, social, and community value. Social enterprises emerge from the assets, relationships, and challenges of sparsely populated areas where traditional market and public solutions may be limited. And their strength lies in combining entrepreneurial thinking with community purpose, creating models that are both locally grounded and adapted to changes. Some characteristics for social enterprises is that they are venturing for others with heart and head. If we look at Homo economicus, who is a rational individual who makes sensible decisions that mainly strive for own gains, we might think that entrepreneurs are Homo economics, since the entrepreneurship often are related to money. However, entrepreneurship can also involve positive effects in many other parts of society. In a broader perspective, there is also room for Homo reciprocans. That means human beings that are cooperative actors who are motivated by make improvements for other parts in the society. The social entrepreneurs are most often altruistic with cross-border solutions to societal challenges in society. What we also need to remember is that social businesses are in the intersection of a non-profit and business sector. They put social mission before profit-making mission, which separate them from the traditional for-profit businesses. But on the other side, they have income from various resources, not at least from market sales, and this separates these social enterprises from traditional non-profit organizations. And if SCS, social enterprises have surplus, which they can have, they will reinvest that in the businesses. The balancing, as Yvonne said, between the social and the economic mission make the business modeling more complex for social enterprises. And as said before, traditional business models are not so often adapted to this broader way of entrepreneurship. They are mainly based for companies that have this traditional for-profit mission, where market sales are the revenue, where the revenues come from. There is no real business models adapted to social enterprises, despite various attempts that often have a starting point from the business model canvas. This is one example from the practical side from Social Innovation Lab. It's quite similar with the business model canvas, but there's some differences. For example, in this model, we have added building blocks that is about the surplus, and that is going to be reinvested in the businesses. They have moved around the value proposition, but we can see that is quite same business blocks or components that the business model canvas. Another example is from Companion, that is a business support organization for social enterprises in Sweden. Here is the different areas more prominent. We have the implementation, how value are going to be delivered. We have the value creation, and we also have the market where the revenues are supposed to come from. We have the social unique value proposition. A new thing in this model is about social impact measurement, which is very important for social enterprises because they have revenues from different sources. And that's the reason why they also need to highlight why they need financing from different sources so they can show the value that they provide. A third example that we have is from the research sides. In this model, we can see that they have added overall component that is about governance. And that's important because social enterprises are often described as they have a democratic governance in the operation. And they have also in this model highlighted that there are differences between customers and beneficiaries. Even if business models for social enterprises has begun to take form, we think that it still is a mismatch on suggesting building blocks adapted to the rural conditions. If we're going back to our project, the objective of MERSE is, as Yvonne said, to make it easier to start and develop social enterprises in rural areas. One output of the project is also to suggest new business models that are adapted to social enterprises in rural areas. In the project, we have studied social entrepreneurs' business models, what they say, how they do businesses. We have also looked at previous research and practical previous models, and we are currently trying to develop a new framework for business modeling for social enterprises in rural areas. We think first and foremost that we need frames for social businesses. And these are the mission, the why needs to be highlighted. We need to highlight it where they almost often do businesses conditions in rural areas. We also think that the governance and transparencies, how they make businesses are very important, and that they are able to communicate their value, what they do. In our framework, we think that the following building blocks are important. We have this social unique value proposition, but in social businesses, we also have complementary value proposition that need to be highlighted. It's important to separate beneficiaries versus customers. We are talking about value network, key resources, and key activities. And when we are delivering value, we of course have cost structures, and we also have revenue streams, and we need to highlight what we're going to do if we have some surplus. Another thing that we think is important is that we look at the business model from different levels. We have this strategic level, but also a tactic and an operative level that I think is important to show in the business model. And here we have still in progress is this work, but here is our suggestion how it should look like. Overall, we want to highlight the mission, why the social enterprises exist. At the right side, we have the rural area, the context where the social enterprises operate, and we also need to take account to transparency and the governance that we have in the social businesses. We also want to have a last frame that is about communication of social value, that we could highlight what the social businesses are doing. In the middle, we have this social unique value proposition as well as the complementary value proposition. We have beneficiaries. That is the most important thing in the business models, why we are doing it and what problem that we want to solve. But we also have customers, and we also have financiers and contributors and subsidies that needs to be highlighted in the business model. We also have value network, key resources, and key activities that will result in expenses or costs in the business model. Yeah, this is an ongoing work, and we would be happy to have comments or suggestions for how it should look like, and if some components maybe are missing or if one should be taken away. It's still a work in progress. Finally, we want you to remember that a business model is unique for every small social enterprises in rural areas. But we think that there is a need for guidance and customers building blocks to start the business modeling. Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Cecilia, for this very interesting input. It's clear that we need to be able to vision this in this type of way to look at it from the social entrepreneur side. So I think that's a very good introduction to the next part of this webinar, where we will be seeing two organizations and people who have been working in supporting and with social entrepreneurs and as social entrepreneurs as well. So next up is Arnar Sigurðsson from East of Moon.
Thank you, Steinunn, so much, and it's a pleasure to be here. I've been following this project. It's extremely important to be looking into this. I have to admit, when Steinunn asked me to have a talk here, I was a little taken aback. Sometimes you're asked to talk about things that you know exactly what you want to say, and this time I think my response was something like, "Uh-oh." I think as a practitioner in the field, to talk about business models for social entrepreneurship is difficult because in some way, I think the reality is that social entrepreneurs occupy a space in society that does not really have a viable business model. And maybe we want to change this, but this is the where we start off with. But as Steinunn said, I work within a laboratory called East of Moon. We study and experiment with and develop the way communities innovate and create together. So part of that practice is supporting entrepreneurs, and often in rural areas. We have had a lot of focus on that. But I have also been and I am an entrepreneur myself, and for the last 15 years have been involved in various companies and organizations and institutions that fall within this frame of social entrepreneurship. As previous speakers have talked about, there's different definitions of this term. I think that the way it's framed in the MERSE website, that a social entrepreneur wants to do good and is not driven to maximize profit. I think this is the general sense that the population has of this concept, social entrepreneurship. And I want to share with you, sort of from the field, from working directly with rural entrepreneurs, kind of some of how this plays out, because it's easy to make these boxes, of course, and then put abstract concepts into those boxes and abstract personas of entrepreneurs. In my experience working with rural entrepreneurs, if we talk about their motivations, it's usually quite complex. And I think as human beings of flesh and blood, our motivations are not necessarily separated into categories. So I would say in a typical rural accelerator like this one, we have people starting small businesses. I think almost all of them are motivated by a desire to do something good for society and meet the local need for their community. So by that definition, 90% would be social entrepreneurs. Now, most of them also want to be able to make a living out of that. So for their project to be financially viable is quite important. I'd say that very few of them are actually thinking about profit, like beyond just making a decent salary. Maybe some might be thinking, oh, one day I could make a profit or get dividends from my business. But I'd like to point out that in general practice, within small businesses and even medium businesses, whether value is taken out of a business through dividends or profits or through salaries is largely an accounting decision. So if you have a small business that you're running, you can ask your accountant to make a profit and have dividends out of this, or you can take it out as salary. So I just want to point out that this kind of profit versus viability versus doing social good in on the ground within real rural businesses, these are not necessarily so easy to separate categories. And my pessimism towards viable business models for social entrepreneurships, it can be described a bit like this. And I promise I will end on a positive note. Typically, where there is a viable financial model for a business, the for-profit enterprises are already occupying that space. At least this is true for Iceland. So if there is a big town that has a need for a supermarket, there is already a big supermarket operating there in a financially viable way. I am aware that historically in Iceland and in other places, many supermarkets were operated by cooperatives. But I think it's important to to note that at least in Iceland, this is coming from a different historical period. There are very few big supermarkets being operated by cooperatives or started by cooperatives today. So a big supermarket that's financially viable requires capital investment, can capture the value back in a big town like Ísafjörður, where Steinunn and Ansgar are coming from. That is operated on a for-profit business model. So social entrepreneurs don't really have a space there. Now, the opposite happens in a small town that's far away, where there is no grocery store. So that's where, just like the MERSE description explained so eloquently, there is a gap. The for-profit, market-driven businesses are not operating a store there. The state is not allowed to generally operate grocery stores. So this is where you would expect social entrepreneurs to come in to kind of fill into those cracks. But already we are seeing a little bit of pessimistic paradox that the space left for social entrepreneurship is by definition something that is not financially viable. And I think it's important to be mindful of that and realistic. Another example of these paradoxes is, this is a fictional example that's based somewhat on reality. Let's say a social entrepreneurial business wants to improve sustainability in forestry. And in forestry, the seedlings are often wrapped in single-use plastics, which is bad for the environment. And so a typical social entrepreneurial business that you might see is somebody that comes up with a biodegradable wrapping for seedlings, for forestry, and wants to kind of save the environment in this way. And obviously, in doing so, they are pitted against for-profit businesses that have already used plastics for 70, 80 years. And their product is inevitably, as a biodegradable thing that is an experimental product, more expensive. So they need to rely on farmers paying more for the seedlings that they can provide because it's better for the environment. This is a story that we recognize, I think, in a lot of entrepreneurship that is on this kind of social terms. And relying on farmers to pay more is not usually a viable business model. I mean, farmers are already pressed economically. Maybe they can put a label, we are biodegradable, maybe that can help, but in a bigger sense, this is often a losing strategy. Except, and here I want to come to the optimistic point, every now and then, the public sector, the state, makes a decision. So in the case of this fictitious entrepreneur that is making biodegradable seedlings, if the European Union were to decide that using single-use plastics for farming is not going to be tolerated within 5 years, all of a sudden, their business model becomes viable. And all of a sudden, they can actually scale up their biodegradable seedling business. And it starts working. But they did not encounter a viable business model on their own. It is not a question of individual brilliance or individual initiative necessarily, but it is a social question. So my main takeaway or message would be that sometimes social entrepreneurship is kind of presented a bit like a way for the private sector to be able to solve social problems without the state getting involved. And I think that this is somewhat true, but it's complex in the way that social entrepreneurship needs to be enabled by the state or by a social decision. And I think we should always keep this in mind. This is a Hafnarhouse. It's a social enterprise that I was part of developing for 3 years. It's affordable workspaces for artists in the downtown Reykjavik. And it's a very viable business. It's a non-profit. It's a very viable business. If it was, if it was a for-profit business, it could almost be possible to run these things on a profit with a profit margin. And it has scaled up. There's 400 artists using it, and from a financial point of view, it could be seen as a successful business. And it's easy to attribute the success of this to some sort of entrepreneurial brilliance from myself or the people involved in doing this. But the viability of this social enterprise can be traced back to a policy decision, which is that the city of Reykjavik made a policy some years ago that empty spaces in their ownership that were not being used should be made available for the creative industries. And I think this is the point I want to make, is that because of the paradox of social entrepreneurship and because for-profit businesses occupy most of the private entrepreneurial sphere, viability for social enterprises is a policy decision that is made. And going back to the small store in a small remote place in a rural area, which is kind of barely surviving because there are too few people to use it. This is also a policy decision to make it survive, not just from the public point of view or the point of view of the state or the municipality. So currently in Iceland, the state provides some subsidies for rural stores, and that is a fact. But there are also policy decisions that are made within the community. So for instance, in most small towns, there is one big company. Maybe it's a fish factory, maybe it's a fish farm, maybe it's some sort of a big business. If the managers of that business decide that they are going to buy from the local store and not from the big supermarket an hour away, which is, I know for a fact sometimes happens, they make it possible to have a viable social entrepreneurial business model by doing that. So the policy decision to make social entrepreneurship possible is not just something that happens on a state level, but also on a level of community as a whole. So the point I want to make is the state and the community is what shapes the market and what decides what is viable on the market. So the market is not something that exists in a vacuum. It's not something that existed ahistorically from some abstract graphs that cross each other. What becomes viable to do as a social entrepreneur, what becomes a viable business model, is largely a decision by society.
Arnar, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I have to ask you to wrap up. Because we have a few other speakers coming,
And that was
Maybe-
my point. Thank
that
you,
was
Nani.
your point.
Yeah.
Yes. Any last remark? Sorry.
I think just to wrap up, I would like to say I think there is a case for social entrepreneurship. I think it is I think it allows for individuals and organizations to take initiatives outside of the public sphere and the state. But I think it's a very difficult road to go through. And I think when you're on the ground with actual entrepreneurs working, I think the differences between a social entrepreneur and just an entrepreneur is often not as clear as it might look in the distance.
Thank you so much, Arnar, for provoking a lot of thoughts about this whole dynamic of the social entrepreneurship environment. We were planning to have questions. We have gone a little bit over time, so we're gonna just combine those at the end. So next, I would like to introduce Jarmo Haninen from the Center for Expertise of Social Entrepreneurship in Finland. Please take the floor, Jarmo. Are you there, Jarmo? You're on mute. You're still muted, Jarmo. We see your slides, but we can't hear you.
Now.
Yes, there we go.
Okay. Thanks for inviting me to this webinar. And first of all, it has been very interesting speeches. Now I take a little bit different approach to this support organization question, because we have had this Center of Expertise for Social Enterprises called YYO in Finland for a few years. So I would like to share some thoughts about how we work, what have we come up to in these actions, and what might be the future, of course, and always with the twist of also rural business. So first of all, only some words about myself. Why maybe from the point of view why I am here today, maybe speaking and working in this consortium. I started working with cooperatives 1988, so that's a long time ago in the University of Helsinki. Since then, I've been doing consulting, training and research activities, for example, European projects concerning cooperatives, those European cooperatives, and work integration, social enterprises, and other social economic organizations. I work in the Pellervo Coop Center, which is Confederation of Finnish Cooperatives, but I'm also chairman of the board at Coop Finland Association, which promotes worker and small-scale cooperatives that we have maybe about 1,000 in Finland. I'm a member of the board in European Confederation of Industrial and Service Cooperatives, which means worker cooperatives and social cooperatives, which is a very, very, very big thing, as you know, in Italy and Southern Europe. So that's the background. So when we were starting to discuss and debate about social enterprises in Finland, maybe 2010, so already before that, decades before that, there was some kind of academic discussion. What are social enterprises? Why should we think about them as different kind of organizations? So maybe that's some kind of background that it didn't start 2010, this phenomenon. But what is this center of expertise? It was set in 2021 by the Ministry of Employment and Economic Affairs in Finland to implement the strategy for social enterprises. The strategy was given out by the ministry, was it 2020, and immediately they started to find a way to implement those ideas in the strategy. We started as consortium of 6 organizations, and that consortium was funded 100% by the ministry for a little bit more than 2 years. Now we have a consortium of 11 organizations, but we work under ESF Plus fund as a coordination project, which name is horrible, but it tells the meaning of this project totally: improving the framework conditions and capacities of social enterprises and their ecosystem. That's the point we are working for. We have different kind of work packages, for example, data collection, networking, both nationally, both internationally, employment, work integration, capacity building, business counseling, and local activation, for example, supporting ESF applicants when they try to make some kind of project to promote, for example, social economy enterprises. We work in a way that our services and materials are directed to organizations, not to individuals. So this is some kind of project structure we have, but of course there are no organization in our webinars or in our meetings. There are individuals, but the main thing is that we work with organizations, public organizations and private organizations. And our services and all materials, they are free of charge to use by people. What is important, I think, is that we have continuous coordination with the Ministry of Employment and Economic Affairs. There's a group of directors in a way that coordinate this, or always are in contact with us. When we look at the primary support services we give in this project and in our center, it's coaching and counseling, with business advising. Almost all is done via Teams. We reach our target groups in social media and networks, and it has been seen that more than half of our contacts come by Googling. People think about, well, what is social enterprise? They Google and they find us then to use our services. We have lots of expertise in our consortium, for example, in work integration and reuse of materials. So we combine that with the basic economic business advice in our actions. Well, those sessions we are a little bit restricted in a way. We can do very deep consultant work, of course, because this is publicly funded. So maybe our sessions, we have maybe 2 or 3 sessions for an organization, and they last 1 hour usually. We meet about 70 different individuals, teams, or groups, or already existing organizations yearly. And well, I have not exact figures, but I think that about 10 of those yearly met groups are rural businesses. We also give short training periods for mainstream business advisors, collaborate with them and direct customers, especially to their business economy expertise service. For example, when they dig into the business plans of people and check the economical background of that. Is it viable? How are all the basic things? We concentrate on the social economy, social enterprise issues in our services. So what they ask from us, what is social enterprising? So we tell them those special characteristics of social enterprises as we have debated today and discussed today. Then they ask what are the organization forms for social enterprises. So we try to evaluate the most suitable form for this certain purpose. Some people ask how we do convince that we are social enterprise, or how do we transform our business to social enterprise. So then we propose them usually to have the social aim and restricted distribution in their bylaws, and we can give them some model texts and continue developing those bylaws from that to meet their needs. One question is related really to the business models. Some people just ask us how to make mission-based business. And then we talk about different kind of business models. Maybe there are even 20 different kind of business models for social enterprising, but usually I myself don't start about explaining them, but we try to figure out from the market, maybe the customers, and keeping in mind the thing that came up already earlier today, that the customers are and beneficiaries are not the same every time. This is very interesting, in fact, to discuss with people. Of course, they ask about finance. We have a certain material about available financing, but I have to remind that we don't have any special finance for social enterprises in Finland. It is quite opposite situation at the moment. Then people ask, how do we measure impact? Not easy question. We encourage them to schedule the process and plan, for example, impact chain, which we have some models for in our material. What is then special with rural businesses? We meet many times association-based social enterprises, in fact, and they ask us, is this business from the taxing point of view, for example, or should we convert our action to business? So we discuss about tax legislation, maybe dual financing, non-profit and business financing, and the structure, maybe if the association should establish, for example, limited company. Then still those organization form and structure questions come, and we try to evaluate the most suitable form for their purpose. Is it limited liability company, cooperative association, or foundation even? Then about
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jarmo. We have limited time. Can you maybe try to wrap up in about 2 minutes?
Yes, that's possible. Then about the business model and in some cases businesses want to benefit the local community. How do they do that? Maybe again the social economy organization model used. Financing is always difficult, but we have had this leader funding, which has been very good. Few words about, you can read it then, about our new strategy for social economy and social enterprises. Rural areas are dealt in the section called The Social Economy Meets the Needs of Local Communities. I sent a Word document to Anska to deliver to you later if you want to. And one part of this strategy is that is there going to be any future for YYO, our center of expertise? We will see that. Tack för er. Tack så mycket. You.
Kiitos. So thank you so much, Jarmo. It's very interesting to see how Finland has been actively supporting rural social enterprises and rural social enterprises in general. And hopefully we will continue seeing that. Will be interesting to see the development. But now that we've started kind of wide with the academic literature and gone down to the support level, now we will actually be seeing real life examples from two social enterprises. And the first one is Gróandi. So Hildur Dagbjört Arnardóttir, please share your presentation. And yes, and I want to please ask because we have half an hour left in our time, and we'd like to try to have some questions at the end. So please try to stick to the 10 minutes. Thank you. Is Hildur here? I see she's on the meeting, but I don't see her. It was all working fine when we tested an hour ago. Hildur, are you there?
Hi.
Hi.
Is my turn already?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I am running a CSA in Iceland, and I will do a bit of a strange setup. So, okay. I'm actually wondering because I have a video that was made regarding exactly how Gróandi is run, like the model that we're using now. And we tried to test it before, but it didn't work then. But I would like to check if it works now, because that's gonna, yes, there's a system audio sharing, so that's awesome. Let's see if it works, because I think that will kind of explain a lot.
Viltu næpu, steinselju, kartöflur, graslauk, salat, alls konar salat. Og fullt af öðru grænmeti, tómötum og berjum sem næringarík og bragðgóð, lífrænt ræktuð hér á Ísafirði. Og allt þetta auðfengið fyrir þig. Eins ferskt og það getur orðið, án umbúða og hvenær sem þér hentar. Hvernig þetta hægt? Þetta Gróandi. Lífræn ræktun matvæla, opin öllum íbúum svæðisins. Ég heiti Hildur Dagbjört og ég kom Gróandi af stað árið 2016. Síðan þá hef ég ræktað lífrænt grænmeti, ber og kryddjurtir fyrir meðlimi Gróanda og á sama tíma byggt upp frjósaman jarðveg og líffræðilega fjölbreytni. Í ár opnar Gróandi fyrir öllu samfélaginu. Þú ert velkomin á ræktunarsvæðin og í gróðurhúsið að nælæri mat beint af plöntunni. Við bjóðum öllum íbúunum hér að tengjast matnum og náttúrunni sem hann kemur frá. Við viljum halda áfram að stækka ræktunarsvæðin, rækta fjölbreyttari mat fyrir ykkur og hafa enn víðari jákvæð áhrif á samfélagið. Allir íbúar svæðisins munu hafa möguleika á þátttöku og uppskeru í Gróanda, óháð því hvort þeir sjá sér fært að taka þátt í fjármögnuninni, til dæmis skóla- og leikskólakrakkar, óvinnufærir eða fólk í starfsendurhæfingu. En til þess að við getum haldið áfram að styðja samfélagið okkar í grænum umskiptum þurfum við stuðning frá samfélaginu til að fjármagna starfsemina. En hvernig virkar það? Lítum á björgunarsveitirnar. Við veitum öll að það okkar hagur að hafa björgunarsveitirnar og þess vegna styrkja mörg okkar þær með litlu peningaframlagi reglulega. Þetta lítill kostnaður fyrir hvern einstakling en stór ávinningur fyrir allt samfélagið og afleiðingin að við erum öll öruggari. Eins með Gróanda. Ef nægilega margir koma saman, mun hver og einn stuðningsaðili aðeins þurfa að borga litla upphæð. Og þá getur Gróandi verið opinn öllum og haldið áfram þessari mikilvægu vinnu. Við getum átt samfélagsreikinn, sjálfbæran landbúnað sem við getum öll verið stolt af. Það eru nokkrar leiðir færar til að taka þátt í Gróanda. Þáttaka í ræktuninni, undirbúningur samfélagsviðburða eða að verða stuðningsaðili Gróanda og borga upphæð að ein vali einu sinni á ári. Fylgdu hlekknum í lýsingunni til að fá að vita meira Gróanda og hvernig þú getur tekið þátt. Sjáumst í Gróanda.
That this was working. Okay. Now. That's music. Screen sharing is gone, isn't it?
Yes, we now see your face.
I'm not hearing your screen.
We can see just you now. We don't see your screen.
I'm not hearing.
And thank you for the video. That was a great introduction.
Heyrðu núna, Hildur?
All right, I'm on. All right. So, I am wondering, can somebody speak so I can know if this is working?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay, it is. Thank you. I'm actually wondering if I can take questions already, and then I can show things that are relevant. I will just start speaking about what we're doing, and then I hope that people will just raise their hands and jump in and ask questions. So, yeah, as you saw, we've changed the way we're running the CSA. It's not run in a way where those that pay for the food get the food anymore. We have kind of taken that link away. So now anybody that wants to support the CSA can contribute with financial support. And then it's just kind of like an open park where anybody can come and get food. So it's open to kids, for example, that cannot decide for themselves to support it financially. It's open to people that don't have strong finances. Students. So it's available to all that want food and want to take part in gardening.
So you allowed us to give you questions. How much revenue per year? How much the revenue? Like your capacity, like is enough for 5,000 person, for 50 person?
Yeah, I don't know, because we just produce as much food as we can, and it's always more than enough. Like we're always having abundance. So it would depend on how much people would harvest and how much they would come and get. And until now, we have not had people coming enough to eat up all the food. So I'm still ahead, like producing more food than people are able to harvest. And the rest of the harvest, we have like preserving events, like harvesting events at the end of the season. We just harvest everything that is left, and then we make products from it that people can take home. So we're making herbal salt and kale chips, herbal tea, pesto, sauerkrauts. Just try to make something from all the leftover harvest. Yes, I got the land by asking. So I just went to the town and asked if I could use this part of the community land for growing food for the people. And their response was like, well, this is already the vegetable gardens for the town. Like there's not a lot of people that are growing food there, but there's still some. So if there's any available space, then yeah, of course, you can grow for the people, with the people. That said, we're now in a bit of a strange situation where there's planning process to build a gondola on top of our vegetable gardens. So we don't know if we'll keep the space. It's unsure. Like the community of people that want to have the vegetable gardens there, they're speaking up and they're writing lots of comments. They're trying to be active in showing that they care for having this. Yeah, it's unsure what the town will do and how the planning process will proceed.
Sorry, I'm not interested a lot. How many, but the population in that village or that city, for example, and how much it cost you to start this initiative?
Yeah, the town has what, like 2,500 or 3,000 people, something like that. Yeah, anybody's welcome to join. I did try first a model where we have like kind of like shares. Each person that kind of buys in at the start of the year, they kind of can be a part of the project. That wasn't really working well. Those that have money don't necessarily have the time to take part. And there was like lack of access to those that were interested and didn't necessarily have the money. So this is
One thing, please. I don't know if she's allowed me to ask that much questions or not. Like this one is coming from this. The business idea usually is coming from like problem. If you have a problem and you bring the solution, or something from interests. So from where you get this business idea? Like your hobbies?
I was taking a permaculture course in Norway. I was living in Norway at the time. And I met some people from Tana in Finnmark that were growing food for a boarding school there. And I was curious and checking like what they were growing. And they were growing everything that I was growing in southern Norway. They were also growing that up in Finnmark. So then I thought, well, if they can do it just by kind of growing the small plants in a greenhouse and then planting them out, then I must be able to do it also in Ísafjörður if I move back. And then in the same course, I also met a woman that was working in the first CSA in Norway. So kind of put these things together and was thinking that if you move back to Ísafjörður, then I would like to show people that it's possible to grow food. Give the power to the people. If they don't like the methods that are used for food growing in the world, if they don't agree, then we can just do it ourselves. We can join together and make the change.
Thank you so much, Hildur. I'm wondering, are there any more questions
in the comments?
In the comments?
Yeah. It is, what was the biggest challenge?
Yes. What is the biggest challenge continuously is that it's not that easy to finance salaries for people. So like the first years, there was barely any. So and there's also like the mindset of the people. There's definitely some difficulty. People are having some difficulty in understanding how this works. They're like, can't I just buy vegetables from you? And they're kind of not understanding this model, even though I try to, at first I was like describing it as like, it's like a golf course, for example. Like you pay for being a part of the golf association, and then you have access to the golf course and you can play golf. Here you can pay for having access to vegetable gardens, and then you have access to food. But it was still really tricky for people to understand, and this knowledge was not spreading within the community. And then now that I've changed it to gift economy, it's even more tricky for people. So there's some people still think that you have to buy vegetables, and they're like, hey, can I come and buy vegetables? And like, no, you cannot. You can support the initiative, but you cannot buy anything. You can get food though. Anybody can come and get food. Ja, tack för det. Ja, tack för det. Sorry, interruption. Yes, so it's tricky for people to understand how it's run. And what pains me is that many people, even like my interns, even people that are really invested, they still word it as there's free food. Anybody can come and get free food. It's not free food. It's community funded. It's not like, because if it's free, then they're kind of expecting that the municipality is paying my salaries or something. That's not the case. Yeah, it's funded by the people. So that's one of the biggest challenges. There was also a question about how much did it cost? It doesn't cost a lot to start, because I'm growing with permaculture methods, and I'm mostly using just free materials that I can source in the nearby areas, like getting horse manure from the horse stables and some pallets, and so I'm kind of using what I have and building soil. So the biggest cost is just my salaries. It's almost the only cost. Almost the only cost. And then I'm having internships. I have funding through the European Solidarity Corps for the internships. So their hours and their stay is covered in that way.
Thank you so much, Hildur. I saw there was a couple of more questions, but I think we will put an end now, because we have one presentation left, and then we can circle back to some questions later to either Hildur or any of the other presenters. But the last presentation is from the organization Jobloop. So Johanna Axelsson is here with us. It's just you, right? I see. No, I see. Sjur is also here. So please take the floor. Johanna and Sjur from Jobloop.
Thank you. I will hand it over to Sjur right away.
Sorry for the mispronunciation.
You're good.
Well, good, thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Great. Okay, thank you for the invitation and the possibility to come here and speak about Jobloop. It's a social entrepreneurship that we started in 2019. So we're approaching our 6th year in running. And at this point, we might be one of the fastest growing social entrepreneurs in Norway. So it's exciting and challenging and fun to talk about. So I'll tell a bit about our story and how we end up the way we are. We started in 2019, as I said, as just a small group. It was founded by Bo Slitsheim, which is a lecturer at the College of Western Norway. He was working with youths fallen out of education, fallen out of work for a couple of years, and tried in collaboration with what's called NAV in Norway, which is the public organization responsible of helping people that's outside of work, and try to get some initiatives along with them, especially aimed at youths which struggle to finish high school and struggle as part of high school to find work training, which is a huge focus in the Norwegian high school to give everyone some work training to lower the barrier going into the adult life and into working. And he met Oddbjørn Sve, which is the other senior at our team, which had 20 years of experience working in the inclusion industry, delivering on public tenders on things like job searching, job application courses, and so on. And we had the freshly educated Sina Eriksen, which today is the director of the organization, and myself, which had some kind of tech and gaming background. And together we started a small project aimed at high school students, which was in the danger zone of falling out of high school. Especially we wanted to do work with youths which was falling out of high school and has a special interest for gaming or technology. And we wanted to be creative and find paths for them into the creative industry or tech industry, or maybe even the game development industry. So we did that with 20 high school students, helped a lot of them going into work. The most interesting or coolest story of that group was a guy that didn't participate in high school anymore. He wasn't showing up at high school, but he was super interested in playing GTI, like Grand Theft Auto. And he spent a lot of time on that, and nobody really knew what he was spending all that time in GTA on. But after working with him for quite some time, we found out that his time spent in GTA was spent on making 3D models to mod GTA to make elevate the experience for all the players in his community. And it's a long story made really short. He expanded his talent for 3D modeling into other spaces, got some work training, and was headhunted by the biggest YouTuber in the world, Mr. Beast, and brought on to his team to work on 3D modeling models for his videos, which was super cool. So after 2019, we expanded the project and wanted to do more. So we looked at the industry or the group of social enterprises in Norway, and we thought it was a lot of the same, and things were done pretty much at the same way for a lot of years. It was a lot of focus on just courses in job application, clubs to help finding jobs and getting a start. and we wanted to be. We saw the lack of good offers and good projects aiming at technology and aiming at the youth that loved gaming, loved technology, and wanted to find a work in that space. So we ended up on an ambition to find new pathways to development, education, and work, because what we saw was that we had to meet people in exclusion on tons of different places in their life. Some of the youth we had to meet when they had fallen out of work and education and was maybe in their early 20s and struggled to find their way in the workspace. And that's how we founded Kodehode, which is a coding camp aimed at getting people from exclusion into junior IT jobs. That has been the most successful program, expanded to a lot of different Norwegian cities. But what we also saw that was that we could do a whole lot more if we came in at an earlier time, if we were able to come in and be able to work with some of these people as early as in their elementary school and in high school, because what we saw with the people that was outside of work in their early 20s was that for a lot of them the struggles started already at the elementary school. They started so much earlier, and we could prevent a whole lot of problems, and with less effort we could probably help them if we get to start working with them at an earlier age. So that's why we started a project like Gamify, which is an alternative education arena that's in combination with the school is aimed at helping students stay in school. And this is placed at a gaming center, which we use game-based learning to boost their skills and especially their confidence, both social and confidence in subjects. And we see that a lot of these students manage to stay in school for a long time. I would do like this intermediate, like game-based learning projects at the high school to help people take all the exams in high school. We do basic IT training to elderly or people with IT skills that isn't sufficient in the modern job market. There's a whole lot of projects, and I think that's what we ended up on when we wanted to find new ways to prevent exclusion, focused primarily on IT and gaming. We found out that it can't be just one project. We have to do a whole lot of things aimed at different people in different life situations. So last year, we were crowned or awarded the Social Entrepreneur of the Year in Norway, and got a prize from the Prince of Norway, which was super nice. That was really cool, and a big acknowledgement of our effort to produce dropout from school, especially, which was what I focused on this year. And we also doubled our activity each year for a lot of years now, going from just 2 employees in 2019 to 60 employees this year, steadily growing. And expanding from this small project in Bergen, Norway, aiming at just high school students, to delivering projects all the way from elementary school up to young adults trying to get into the work market, not only in Bergen, but in 17 different cities all over Norway, and now some small projects in Sweden, which is super exciting. Yeah, I think what we have landed on over these few years is that we can't just do one thing if you want to make as big of an impact as we have set ourselves to make. We have to do different things to different people in different ages with different challenges. But on the same time, we want to keep doing what we are good on, which is inclusion work based on an interest in tech or gaming, and use that as a platform to help them grow. So yeah, as I said, we started in 2019 with a few students and 2 employees, and grown steadily over these years. It's been mainly a growth backed by winning of public tenders from the public, and we've seen that if we are going to be able to make a big impact, we have to do this together with the public. We have to do it together with the municipalities and together with NAV, which is the work inclusion department. Yeah, we have to we have to collaborate, or it won't be possible. So
Wonderful. Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought you.
No, I'll leave
Yeah.
it at this. Thank you.
Yes, I thought that was a really good ending point. So thank you so much. We did want to leave time for some questions at the end. We have gone a little bit over time, but I would like to take the chance to tell you all who are here about well, Yvonne has told us about the project, but if you're interested in knowing more about the MERSE Project, we have 2 websites. So we have the Interreg NPA website that we are currently using. So it's the project website that we've been using for these past almost 3 years. And then we also have a website that we are currently working on called ruralse.eu, so Rural Social Enterprises or Entrepreneurship. And that will be the product of this project that will live on after the project finishes. We're still working on adding things into the website. So if you're interested, please follow along. But I would like to invite, if there's any more burning questions, maybe we can take 5 minutes for that. Of course, anyone is free to leave. Eileen, do you have a question?
Like the exact same as flour. It smells like
Hello?
ground. It's really earthy. There's no smell of really coffee.
Big mistake. His mic open.
I'm sorry, yes, I believe Eileen? Either someone who is the host, can you maybe mute this person? Because thank you. So if there's any burning questions, please take a moment now to voice them. Otherwise, I think it's been a really interesting combination of people coming from very different experiences, and wrapping that all together in this theme of business models is really interesting to me, because it sort of emphasizes why it can be hard to fit social enterprises into this typical business model that we are so used to thinking about.
I have one
So
thing.
yes, yes.
So I have a lot of things to share, but unfortunately I had a meeting today. This is recording video. So can you share it with us after this? And if it's possible or not, to share with us this video. And I might do contact with some different people here. I am Muntasar Al-Hamad, leading a project in the rural area in Finland with Kutunum Masud from Startup Refugee. Also, I am researcher now with the third year for this same topic, refugee and immigrants, entrepreneurs in rural area. So I might be some discussions in the future with you all guys. And if you have something to discuss with me, or we can cooperate in the future. So just a little bit, thank you to take this advantage from this.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that, and very good luck with your project. We will be sharing the recording on our website that I have sent the link to. And also, if you want to share your contact details for people to, if you want further collaborations, please do in the chat. Is there any more questions or remarks to wrap this up? Yeah, I see some people are showing their emails in the chat. So but seems like there's no more questions. It was really nice seeing all your faces and hearing those different experiences. And I encourage you to, if you're interested in rural social entrepreneurship, to keep following the project and following our two websites now. And thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye.